Okay, good morning everyone. My name is Tom McClooney. I'm one of the chef lecturers at Southeastern Regional College, and today I have been tasked with preparing for you a vegan pie. If any of you are not familiar with the vegan diet doesn't use any animal products in any of the things that they eat. We need to be very careful actually just to make sure that there's none of that actually goes in. Today I'm doing vegan pie, and I'm just basically making a short crust pastry. And I have a filling of lentils. I've got wild mushrooms in there. I've got butternut squash, carrot, onion, celery, and we're going to put some tofu in as well. Tofu is a soybean product, and it's just adds a wee bit of texture in with the pie. And hopefully make it taste a bit more tasty. So firstly, we're going to put our pastry together first. In this bowl here, I've got 500 grams of plain flour. I've got a pinch of salt and some pepper in there as well, and I've also put in there some dried mixed herbs, just a pinch of dried mixed herbs. We've got a recipe made, so it's all down in the recipe. You'll be able to look that up on the site. I've just basically sieved that, and I'm going to add that to my mixing bowl. Okay. Here we have a vegetable fat spread. Now this is vegan friendly. There's no animal products in that, so we just need to be careful again that you're not putting any animal products into a vegan meal. I'm just basically going to add this into the flour. Now you can rub this in with your fingertips. I'm going to do it in the machine today. It's optional, just for quickness. I'm just going to get my little tea-top. And we're going to pop it onto our machine. So this is a little stand mixer. It's been fitted with a spade attachment. We're just going to fire that up, just on number one. Okay, we'll put that out of the road. The only other thing I'm going to need then is some cold water. So basically, you don't put cold water in, hot water, you need to put cold water in, beg your pardon. And let the machine do the work for you. It's going to incorporate the fat into the flour. That's basically then going to look like a sandy texture, and then once you get the sandy texture, we're going to start adding the cold water. And once we add the cold water, we're looking for a nice soft dough, not too sticky and not too dry. We'll give it a quick knead. We're going to wrap it in cling film, and then we're going to pop it into the fridge to rest. It's important to let any pastry rest, because you've got to let the gluten rest for 15 to 20 minutes just in the fridge before you start rolling it out. You wouldn't start rolling your pastry out until your filling is ready. So once we get the pastry done, we'll move over and we'll show you how to do the lentil and vegetable filling for the pie. So this is coming together nicely now. It just probably take about a minute, 2 minutes. And we get the fat into the flour. The dried mixed herbs through the mix just gives it an extra hit of flavour. It also gives little flecks of herb through the pastry, so it looks nice as well for presentation. Okay, let's have a look at that. That looks okay. More seconds, and then I'm going to start adding the water. Now, when you're adding the water to the flour, you do want to add a lot of water in at once, because you'll end up with just a sloppy mess. So you need to add it in very gradually. So cold water, with the machine running, just drizzle the cold water down the side, and let that incorporate before you add your next batch of water. Because if you add in too much, then your pastry will be too sloppy, too wet, and you won't be able to roll it out. So another little smidgen. And you can hear the gear changing on the machine there now, so it's starting to do a bit of work. And again, pastry making is just practice. And once you do it once or twice, then you know what you're doing, and then you'll be able to work it nicely the next time. Tiny bit more water. Okay. Yep, that's perfect. That's what we're looking for. Just remove all your excess pastry from your little spade attachment. You don't want to lose any of that. Put that up there. And we're just going to bring it together in the bowl. With short pastry, you don't want to overwork it because you don't want the pastry to become tough. So it's just basically a quick knead. If you can see that pastry there, look, it's just perfect. Just need to get a knead that. So I'm just going to knead that for just a couple of seconds, just to bring it together. No need to add any flour on at this stage because you don't want to add flour in and then dry out the pastry. So just for 30 seconds, bring it together. Just make sure your board's nice and clean. There we go. That's your short pastry. I'm just going to wrap that in a little bit of cling film. And we're going to pop that in the fridge to rest for about 20 minutes, 20 or 30 minutes, maybe a bit longer, it just depends. And then while that's resting, then we're going to get on the filling for the pie. Okay, so next we're going to do the filling for the vegan pie. On this table here, we have got a fine dice of carrot, onion, celery, leek. There's a bit of shallot in here. I've got some crushed garlic. I've also got a wee bit of butternut squash as well. So I've cut it nice and fine, sort of it's more or less the same size as the lentils. When the lentils cook, the vegetables will cook at approximately the same time. These are pre-lentils, or green lentils. There's 300 grams here. I've chosen these lentils here because they're more sturdier and they hold together better. So I want the lentils to sort of keep the hold together. So that's why I've chosen those. If you chose red lentils, they tend to go sort of more mushy. So I've chosen those. We've got some mushrooms. We're going to put in some fresh thyme. You can put in sage as well, or any sort of hard herb. You could put a bit of rosemary in there if you like, and a bit of bay leaf just for a bit of extra flavour. Obviously I'm using vegetable stock, and I'm also using, I'm going to put some red wine in as well. Now in researching this here, I just wanted to check that the red wine is suitable for the vegan diet, and some of the red wines are actually use egg white and animal products. So you need to be very careful when you're choosing your red wine before you put it in to make sure that it actually is vegan friendly. Obviously this one is. Okay, so preheat my pot here. I'm going to put in a little splash of olive oil. I'm going to add in the vegetables first. And I'm going to turn the heat down. I don't want it up too high because I just want the vegetables to colour. I don't want them to actually take on any colour, I just want them to sweat down a little bit. And just keep those on the go. So, a bit of seasoning in there, just a pinch of salt. A few twists of black pepper. I quite like a lot of pepper, put a couple of extra twists in there. Again, just get the cooking process started with the vegetables. Put that out of the road. Okay, so you're frying the vegetables off in the olive oil for, I'd say, 1 to 2 minutes. And again, don't walk away and leave it, because if you walk away and leave it, it will start to catch, and you don't want to burn your mix. drop in the mushrooms. And again, just simmer those off a little bit with the rest of the vegetables. I'm going to pop in just another taste of olive oil. The lentils themselves will take anything to sort of 25 to 30 minutes to cook out. And the thing that you must be sure of as well, do your mix well in advance, because your mix has to be cold before you actually fill your pie. You can't put a hot pie filling into a pastry. So you have to make sure you make your mix in advance, let it go cold, and then I'll show you how to put the pie together once we get the filling made. Okay, so that's all looking good. I'm going to pop in the lentils next. Now this mix will make a good sized pie. I'm doing this on a 9-inch plate today, but you can make it slightly bigger. This is a plated pie. You can make it a bit bigger if you like. Or you can do smaller, do individual ones. We tried this recipe earlier on in the week, and it actually is very tasty. So hopefully it will go down well. Okay, so you just fry your lentils off with the rest of the vegetables just for a minute, 2 minutes, just to get the lentils coated in the olive oil as well. And at this stage then, I'm going to put in the red wine, the vegan friendly wine. Alright, once you add that red wine in there, it'll soak up quite quickly, but you want that wine to reduce right down. You want it almost to become syrupy. And you can see that I'm constantly stirring here. I don't want to leave it. And you can get the smell coming off that wine now. It smells absolutely delicious. Okay, so in this bowl, I've got a bit of fresh thyme. So I'm going to put a couple of sprigs of thyme in. And I've got some bay leaf as well. So put a couple of bay leaf in. It's just for more flavour. That'll probably do me. Now again, I have in here the mushrooms, I've got the butternut squash, the carrot, the celery. If you want to change your vegetables, then that's fine. You can put whatever you want in this pie. But whenever you go to serve it, I've said on the recipe that you can serve it with a potato of your choice and some extra vegetables, just as an accompaniment. Okay, clean as you go. Right, so next thing in then is your vegetable stock. So you can see there that the wine is evaporated into the lentil mix, and we're going to add in the vegetable stock. Again, all the measurements are on the recipe, so you'll be able to look this up. Make sure all the vegetables are pushed down into underneath the liquid. You don't want any vegetables caught up around the sides, especially lentils, because they could scorch and that could ruin the finished result. Okay, that's starting to take shape now. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got a bit of tomato passata. You can use chopped tomatoes if you like, but I like this because it's nice and smooth. So there's about a half a carton of tomato passata here. I'll pop that in as well. Make sure I use all that up. Stir that through. And you can see the colour changing there now once I put the tomatoes in. It makes it more appealing. The tomatoes will give it a nice finish as well whenever we cut into the pie, and also add a flavour. I've got some chopped parsley. I'm going to pop it in towards the end of the cooking of the lentils. I've also got in some tomato puree. I'm just going to put like a tablespoon of that in towards the end of cooking as well. Okay, Okay, I'm going to keep that stock there because we may have to top the stock up. You just need to go in every now and again, check your lentils that they're not going to go dry before they're cooked. You may need to add a little more stock just to keep them, stop the mix drying out. Put a lid on, medium heat, sorry. Medium size. And basically just let that cook out. And we're going to go in every now and again, just give it a stir, make sure there's enough liquid in there. And if there's not enough liquid, we'll add some more vegetable stock. We'll add the tomato puree and the parsley in towards the end. And then we'll taste it, make sure the seasoning's right, and then we'll get it cooled down, and then we'll start rolling out the pie and putting the pie together and baking it through the oven for you. Okay, so our lentils have been cooking now for approximately 20 minutes. So we're going to have a wee peek inside and see what they're doing. So I'll just remove the lid. Can you see that there? Yeah. So the lentils are starting to swell up, and they're almost cooked. So they're going to be about another 5 to 8 minutes, I reckon. Okay. So at this stage, I'm going to pop in a spoonful of the tomato puree. Put it up. And I'm going to drop in the parsley as well. Stir that through the mix. And you can see there on the camera that the lentils have held their shape. That's the green lentils. They are one of my favourites for doing this sort of thing. So, okay, I'm just going to pop in a little touch more stock. That will probably be enough. Stir that through. Again, make sure all that stuff up around the edges is pushed down into the pot. Just pop the lid on again. So another 5 minutes, that'll be ready. We'll get that into the blast chiller, we'll get it cooled down. And then once it's cooled down, then we will start rolling out the pastry, put the pie together, and we'll get it baked for you and let you have a look at it. Now, another thing I wanted to talk to you about was the milk that we're going to glaze the top of the pie with. So this is soy milk. Again, vegan friendly, it's non-dairy, and so we're going to use that to actually seal the pie, and we're also going to use that to glaze the pie as well. Normally we would use egg wash, like an egg wash the pie, but we can't use eggs because the vegan diet doesn't use eggs. So that's what we have in there. So that's the soya milk. I've got a touch of plain flour then just for rolling out the pastry, and then we're going to mix the tofu through the lentil mix as well just before we put it into the pie. Okay, so our lentils have been cooking now for approximately between 25 and 30 minutes, and I think they're pretty much ready now. I'm just going to give the lentils a little taste just to make sure. What you don't want to do is to leave the lentils too firm. You want them to be nice and soft for whenever you go to serve it. Okay. So, quick taste of the lentils. This is a good time now to check your seasoning. Yep, lentils are good. A bit more pepper. Okay, lovely. And I'm going to pour the mix out onto this flat tray. Now the quickest way of getting something cooled down is put it onto something flat, like that. There you go, there's your nice lentil mixer, nicely cooked and nicely seasoned. I'm going to pop that into the blast chiller. It'll probably take about another 10-15 minutes for that just to cool down, and then we're going to get the pie rolled out. So we're ready now to roll out our pastry. Our filling is in the blast chiller, almost cooled, so we'll make a start on the lining of the plate. We'll show you how to put this together. Okay. So our pastry's been well rested. It's been in the fridge now for a good 30 minutes. So basically, you're just going to cut the pastry in half. So obviously, one half of the pastry is for the top of the pie, and the other half of the pastry is for the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to dust your bench very lightly with a bit of flour, plain flour, and we're going to roll this out. So I have a 9-inch plate here, which has been very lightly greased with the same fat as what's in the pastry. Okay. Touch of flour on the top, and I'm going to start rolling out. So give it a roll, give it a turn. Give it a roll, give it a turn. We'll lose that just for now. The reason why you give it a roll, give it a turn, just make sure that it's not stuck to the bench. You can see the pastry there. It's got the nice little flecks of the dried mixed herbs to it. So this just adds an extra flavour in. It's important now as well that you don't roll the pastry too thin, but you also don't want to leave it too thick. So you're looking sort of between 3 and 5 millimeters deep. Just have a quick look across, just make sure you're nice and even. Also check with your plate that you've rolled it out long enough and wide enough to cover your plate. Okay, so that's probably about right there. Don't want to go any thinner than that. So roll the pastry back over the rolling pin, plate in front, just roll across. Just push everything down in, make sure it's all nice and neat. And then just trim. That's your plate lined with the first layer of pastry. Okay, so don't throw this away because I'll show you what to do with that in a little minute. And again, I'll get the top part of the pie ready. And then I'll go and get the filling and we'll put it together. Same again, very light dust and flour, not too much because you don't want to dry out your pastry. Leave it on the top. Roll and turn. Roll and turn. And you see the pastry is just a nice consistency there. It's not too wet, it's not too dry. It's rolling out quite nicely. Again, let the rolling pin do the work. Don't put too much pressure down. So once it gets too big to start turning, just go from side to side. So that's probably big enough. Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. Now, pastry that's left over, just bring it back together again. Just gently roll it out. This is just going to make, we're going to make some little pastry leaves just to put on the top of the pie, just to give it a nice finish. And it'll also impress your friends whenever you set this down in front of them and they come around for dinner. Okay. So a tiny bit of flour again, and then we're just going to cut out some nice leaves. So point your knife and just come around in the teardrop shape. We need 3 for the top of this pie. You can put more on if you like, but I prefer to do 3. Okay, I'll lose that. And just very gently tap, push down on each one and make it look like a little leaf. Just up the center and then down each side. Okay, and then that's that ready. Okay, so I'm going to go and get my filling from the fridge and I'll be back in just 1 second. Okay, so we are at our nearly at our final stage here. Our mix has cooled down. You can still see it's still quite nice and loose there. Full of flavour and just nicely cooked. Just check for your aromats in there. There's a little bay leaf. You want to take that back out again. I already got the thyme stalks out of there as well, so they're gone too. Okay, so this is where our tofu comes into play. I've just basically diced it up. I'm just going to put some in. I'm going to gently fold it through the mix. This is where the protein comes in. I'll fold that through and see what that looks like. Just very gently, because you don't want to break it up too much. You want to sort of be able to see it when you cut the pie. Yeah, I think that will safely take the rest of that. Okay, I'll get rid of that. Gently fold that in. Okay, I'm going to fill our pie then with the mix. So you want to be quite generous here. You want, whenever you cut into it, that you get plenty of the filling. But obviously don't overfill it, otherwise the pie will split open whenever you go to bake it. So that's probably enough for me there. And then our soya milk. Just basically gently brush around the outsides. Roll over your pastry over the top. Just push down very gently around the outsides. Make sure there's no air pockets in there. Okay, lift it up again and trim the outside. Lose that. And then just very carefully just go around the outside. Just push down with your thumb to seal it. You can use a fork for this if you like. But I think this gives it quite a nice finish too. Okay, little breather on the top. And then brush all over with your soy milk. Make sure you get all the pastry covered. And put your leaves on the top, just for the decoration. And again, give those a little paint as well with the milk. That's it. That's your pie ready for the oven. We're going to pop that into the oven at 160 for about 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so pies get into the oven at 160. It's going to take sort of 30 to 35 minutes. And there we have it. That is our vegan pie with our lentil and vegetable mix with red wine in there as well. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to cut it open for you and let you see what it looks like inside, and then we'll all have a taste, make sure that it's okay. You can see the pie's nice and it's nicely browned in the oven. It's not overly browned, and it looks like to me like it's well cooked. Okay, moment of truth. There we go, guys. That looks not too bad. A little bit of filling left in there. And that's our vegan pie with our tofu, lentils, vegetables, red wine. Thanks very much for today for joining me for the tutorial. I hope yours turns out as well as this one. We're going to enjoy it for our lunch, so thank you very much.